So the video you're just about to watch comes from one of my online preparation courses, either the theory preparation course, or teaching in pool and classroom, or the full IDC preparation course. There's lots more information in the link below, and there's also lots more information at the end of this video. Anyway, enjoy the video. I hope you learn from it, and I certainly hope to see you again soon. Thanks. On the PADI Recreational Dive Planner exams, when it comes to, calculating your dive plans, for some questions, you get a choice as whether to use the ERDPML or the table. And other questions, you don't get a choice. You must use the ERDPML. So all of the questions you can use the ERDPML if you want to, and some you could use the tables if you get the choice. Now, what I'm going to try and say is that some people seem to prefer one to the other, but to be honest, it depends on the question as to which one's the easiest. For example, anything on this front side of the table is really quite easy to use on here rather than opening up the ERDPML. For example, if you was to be asked what's the maximum amount of time you can dive at any depth, all you need to do is run your finger across, find the depth, come back down, and whatever's in the black box is the answer to that question. Also, what's the pressure group after a dive? Nice and easy. You just find your depth, find out how long you've been on there. The letter over here is the pressure group after one dive. And after a surface interval after your first dive, again, that's a really easy thing to do. You just run your finger across here, find the time of your surface interval, run it back down here, find out what pressure group you're in, and that's really easy. It's only when you flip the chart over and you find yourself on this side that it becomes a little bit of a nightmare to some people in calculating these repetitive dive things. So what I would say is, if you've got a question that you get a choice of which one to use, I would use this one if you can answer it on the front side of it, but it's up to you which one you use. Now, what I am going to do now is I'm going to go through some ERDPML questions using the ERDPML, not so much to show you how to use it. You probably know how to do it, but there are one or two quirks that sometimes it can throw at you, which I've seen before, sort of sometimes confuses people. So I'm just going to go through a few, simple exercises. Let's just see how we get on. So here we have a dive, and 28 meters for the first dive to 22 minutes, 45 minutes surface interval, 21 minutes, 18 minutes dive at 21 meters. And what is the pressure group is the question. So let's just see how the ERML can deal with something like this. Once you've switched it on, we can see that we've got select mode here. And just have a look, we've got over here the mode reset button. So if I click it, the first choice we've got is dive planning. Fine, that's the one we're going to use, to be honest, but let's see what else is in the box. We click it again, and here I think we've got like the first quirk. The word says surface interval, but for those of you who know about the ERDPML, it's not surface interval, is it? It's minimum surface interval. It doesn't say that, but that's what it is. If you're trying to find a surface interval with this mode, you're going to be unlucky. And the third mode is maximum depth. Well, we don't use that one very often. It's fairly self-explanatory. Click it again, we're back to dive planning. Now we need to accept that by pressing enter. Then it asks you, is it multi-level, yes or no? I don't know why that's not a mode, by the way, but it's not. So we click on no, because it's not multi-level. Is this the first dive? We need to think about whether it is or not. It is in this case, but quite often it isn't, and we need to be careful. Here it says enter the depth. Well, the first depth we've got is 28 meters. So put 28 in, and then we can accept it here with enter. It tells us very kindly that our no decompression limit is 23 minutes, but we're only going to go for 22. So we can press enter to accept it, press 22, press enter. It's now telling us that we need to do a safety stop at 3 meters. That's fine, so we accept that. It tells us our pressure group is O. And then it asks us what our surface interval is. Well, it's 45 minutes, so I can plug that in, click enter, and the pressure group after that is a G. Press enter, then we enter the depth of the second dive, which is 21 metres. We can go for 19 minutes, but we're only going for 18, so we plug 18 minutes in, click enter. It tells us again this one needs a 3-minute safety stop, and our final pressure group is R. I now want to show you another example. Okay, so now I want to show you this example, and purely and simply the question is, what is the pressure group after a surface interval of 45 minutes if you was a P diver to start with? Now, as I said before, if you've got the choice, this is the easiest thing in the world to work out on here. If you're a P diver, you go for 45 minutes, you drop down here and you find yourself in pressure group H. But I want to show you what happens when you try and use the ERDPML for this one. So let's just have a look and see. So back to the ERDPML, we can see now that we've got the old one in here. We want to get rid of that. And the other thing I think is quite fun here, it says reset. So you can click the reset button till the cows come home, but nothing seems to happen. What I find is that you have to turn the whole thing off and turn it back on again, and that's where we are. Now let's have a look at the words that it gives us now, because what we want is the pressure group after a surface interval. So we can choose dive planning, that works, so we can click enter. Multi-level, no, it's nothing to do with multi-level, so we turn that off. Is it the first dive, yes or no? Well, we're in pressure group P, so it can't be our first dive, so we put no. And here it says pressure group after surface interval. Well, you might think it's your birthday, because this is exactly what you need. You need the pressure group after surface interval, but that is not what it's asking. What it's asking is, do you know the? They're the words that you need to have to put in front of anything that this states to you. Do you know the pressure group after surface interval? And your answer is no. So you need to be careful with the wording on this. It's not always as user-friendly as you think. So the answer is no. Now, okay, what is the pressure group before the surface interval? Now we can put P in, that's nice and easy. Press enter. Then it says, what's the surface interval? 45. Press enter. And it tells us H. Well, actually, we knew it was H quite a while ago just by looking at the front of this. But there we go. I just wanted to show you some of those words. So now the next thing I'm going to do is show you how the minimum surface interval thing works on the ERDPML. It's much, much, much easier than the table. So let's see how that works. Okay, so the question is, what is the minimum surface interval if you need to do a dive of 20 metres for 24 minutes followed by 16 metres for 45 minutes? Let's have a look, see how it works. It's quite straightforward, this one. So once again, pressing reset doesn't seem to do any good, so I'm going to switch it off, switch it back on again, and this time the mode we're going to use is surface interval, which should mean minimum surface interval, of course. So, okay, now is it the first dive? Yes, it is, so we can just click on yes. It asks us what the first depth is, which was 20 metres, and then press enter. It tells us we could stay down there for 45 minutes, which we accept, but we're only going for 24. Now when we press enter now, just notice it doesn't make any difference in this question, but it might in future. Notice it didn't tell us what the pressure group is after that step. It's just asking what's the depth of the next one. So, okay, so let's put the which was 16 metres. Enter. And it says the adjusted no decompression limit is 65 minutes, but we're only going for 45. Click on enter. It says we need to do a safety stop on this dive. and then we've got an answer of 12 minutes. So there's the answer here, 12 minutes. So quite straightforward. Okay, I'm going to go on to a tricky one now. Probably the most trickiest one that people find. They get stuck on this one most of all. So let's just have a look at it. Okay, you may have seen a question like this before. So what this is all about is PADI want you to calculate the surface interval between 3 dives. Well, they want the minimum surface interval between 3 dives, and once you've worked out what they are, it asks you what is the total length of time from starting here to finishing here, and you need to count the safety stops in as well, which is why I've put a list here. The dives we know are 14 minutes, 45 minutes and 38 minutes, so I've added those minutes up, they come to 97. We don't yet know if they need to have safety stops. It's compulsory safety stops they're looking for here. And we don't know what the surface intervals are here yet, so we need to calculate those. So this, to some people, it looks a bit tricky to start with. And the reason is when they start trying to fathom out how they're going to do it, they get a bit unstuck, because if you think about it, we want minimum surface interval, so we could choose that mode, minimum surface interval, to find the minimum surface interval here, but once we've done that, we can't go any further. So then what other people might want to do is, okay, we'll go into dive planning, and then we can work through to here, but we can't go any further to here because we don't know what the surface interval is. In other words, whichever way you do it, you can't go all the way. So what I'm going to do is start with minimum surface intervals to find out what the minimum surface interval is here, and then we've got no choice but to start again from the beginning and then work through with dive planning and just see how far we get with it. So let's see how this goes. So we're going to start off with surface interval. We switch it on and select mode of minimum surface interval. First dive, yes. Enter the depth of the first dive is 32 meters. We can stay there for 17 minutes, but we're only going to stay there for 14. There's a safety stop on the first dive, we can put that in a minute. The second dive is 18 meters. For 45 minutes. It's another 3-minute safety stop. And we've found that we've got a minimum surface interval of 1 hour and 12 minutes. So we'll fill in a few details. 3 minutes here, 3 minutes here, 1 hour and 12 minutes. So we can put this surface interval of, I'm going to put that as 72 minutes there. And now we've got no choice but to start again from the beginning and work through. So let's do that. Start with dive planning, enter first multi-level no, first dive yes, enter depth of 32 meters. 14 minutes. We're in pressure group J. Now we can put our surface interval of 1 hour and 12 minutes. Pressure group B. Enter. Now the next dive was 18 meters. We could stay there for 45 minutes, and actually that is the time we're staying there. 45 minutes. Another 3-minute safety stop. And we're in pressure group W. Now that tells us something, doesn't it? If we're in pressure group W here, this surface interval must be 60 minutes. it can't be anything less than that because of the WXYZ rule. So we can put 60 minutes in here and we can continue with everything else on our chart here. We now know also that this had a 3-minute safety stop, and we also know that this had a 60-minute surface interval. So now we've got all of the numbers, so we can add these up. 3 is 9, and then 62 over here is 132. Add these up, 16, 18, 4, 30, 238 minutes. It's at that stage you need to cross your fingers and have a look at those multi-choice answers and hope that there's one that says 238 minutes, and that'll be the answer. I only want one more example to show you now, and that is a multi-level dive using the ERDPML. So what the question often asks on these PADI exams is they give you the 3 depths of the multi-level dive, and they ask you to spend as long as you can on each of those levels, and then they'll ask you how long was the whole dive, including the safety stop at the end. We already know that we need to put a safety stop in because we're starting at 35 metres, so we definitely know that there's one up here at 3 minutes. So we can add 3 already onto our list of a sum. So let's see how this goes. It's quite straightforward, the multi-level one, to be honest. It's nice and easy. So starting back with resetting this. Oh yes, choose dive planning. Multi-level, yes. First dive, yes. And this is nice and easy then. What's the first level? 35. So we put 35 metres. Click enter. And the NDL was 13 minutes. So we can spend 13 minutes at that depth. And then the next level, 13. The next level is 24 metres, so we just plumb that in. Click enter. It says we can stay there for 7 minutes, so we will. Enter level 3, 15. Okay, so it tells us we're in pressure group U, and it also means that we've spent another 15 minutes there. So we can add all of these numbers up, 13, 3, 7 and 15, add the whole lot up, so that's 10, 13, 18, 38 minutes. So the whole dive was 38 minutes, including the safety stop. So that's about it, guys. I want to apologise to you Imperial users. I've done all of the examples in metric. It works exactly the same with Imperial, so the methodology is exactly the same. And in all of the questions that I've got in the next lesson, I've got a mixture of metric and Imperial. So you're not being left out there. It's just that my machines are all running in metric. So I look forward to you in the next video session. So welcome to the full IDC preparation course. I'm really excited about this program. The reason why I'm so excited is because it's absolutely jam-packed with all of my wonderful secrets that I teach throughout my whole IDC, which is of course why it's called the full IDC preparation course. So we'll have a little look. The screen we're looking at the moment is called your course player. This is going to become really familiar to you in the next few days. But let's have a look here on the left hand side and we'll find out what's involved down here. So down here we've got our theory topics, physics, physiology, equipment, diving skills, RDP, all that stuff. We'll have a little look a little bit deeper into those in a minute, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about what's in this program. So we scroll down a bit here, we've got PADI standards and procedures right up to date. You can see the very latest version based on this year's PADI instructor manual. And then when we go down here, we've got some really exciting stuff, teaching in confined water. So this is how to make your confined water teaching presentations really effective and, more importantly, really relevant to your students right from the very start. It's a very powerful way of teaching, I'm going to show you here. Perfect for the real world, of course, but it's also really good for IDCs, and it's great for PADI instructor exams as well. So loads of powerful stuff in there. And scrolling down a little bit further, right down to the bottom, teaching in the classroom. Here, I often get asked, I find people on PADI IDCs, they're really not too sure how to structure teaching in the classroom. It's easier than you think, but it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be full of relevant stuff for your students. And in here, I'll explain how all that works. So let's go right back up to the beginning again and look at these theory topics. Let's see what's in here. We'll pick physics for an example. It's always everyone's favourite, isn't it, physics? So we click on physics and we find that physics is broken down into different subjects here. We'll pick on any one of them. Let's pick on, I don't know, effects of pressure. We'll have a look at effects of pressure. And here we see there's a video playing. So it's a lesson. It's going to last for 15 minutes. It shows you here. I'm going to stop the video. So we're in control. We can stop it, start it. We can get rid of this panel on the left-hand side by clicking these 2 arrows up here if we want to. Bring it back again. Of course, we've always got full screen, so you can put full screen on, sit back with a cup of coffee and just listen to the whole thing. Gives you, a lot more information. And then what happens, also you've got down here is complete and continue button if you want to, and that will stop the video and take you on to the next lesson. And after all of these lessons, the next lesson always is a quiz of what you've just heard, just to make sure you fully understand it. So here we've got like a question up here, very PADI type question worded in the way that PADI would word questions. And just like PADI exams, 4 different answers that you can choose from. Find out which one is the one that you think is best suited. And just like on PADI exams, but not like on PADI exams, is if we just pick let's just pick one answer that's the wrong one and click on confirm. We find out it's the wrong answer, but not only that, not only will it tell you what the right answer is, but it will tell you why. So it will give you tips and advice where you've gone wrong to help you succeed. So all of the theory lessons are very similar to this. If we work down, loads of RDP questions, loads of diving skills and environment stuff, loads of videos on there to help you if you're not too sure of how all that stuff worked. When you've done all the theory, gone down here, what we can do then is, if you want to at this stage, go to the final mock theory exams. And here we find right up-to-date theory questions here, all based on like the really the latest questions that PADI are asking on their exams. So here we've got PADI Theory Mock Exam A. We go all the way A, B, C, D and E, 2022 version. As you can see, all of the questions where relevant are in metric and imperial, so it's really great for anybody, or for everybody, I should say. And then the format and the content of these exams is the same as you'll find on your final PADI IE. The wording's not the same. The wording of the questions aren't the same. That's not the objective of this. It's not to tell you what the questions are going to be. It's just so that you can understand the theory, and not only understand it, but that you can teach it to other people as well. It's another objective of this course, really. Then once you've done the mock exams, you can go to the answer key here, and you can check your answers. And clearly, if you've got some wrong, you don't understand them, or you've forgotten, you can go back to the lessons and catch yourself up again. So you can work at your own speed, your own pace, and it's fun working through it this way. Then we've got PADI standards and procedures. Again, we've got, these are all based on this year's PADI instructor manual, so right bang up to date with the new programs that PADI have introduced this year. They're all in here, so you can teach yourself and work your way around the PADI instructor manual. Loads of questions. There's 50 questions, 5 exams here. Each one's got 50 questions on it. Exactly the same format, exactly the same content as the ones you'll find on your final PADI instructor exam. Once you've done those, you can have a look at your answers. You can check them with your answers. So here I've just gone to PADI Standards Mock Exam E, for example, answers. And here you can check your answers, see if you've got the right ones or not. But of course, a standard exam isn't really to do with your knowledge of standards. It's do you know where to find the standards in your instructor manual? PADI call it an open book. You can have your instructor manual with you when you take the exam, and what you really need to do is know where to find the answers in the manual. And to help you there, in this answers document, we've got all of the questions that we've asked before, but not only have we given you the correct answer, but also the page in the current instructor manual as to where you'll find the answer. So you can go back to the instructor manual and find out where to find the answer. So that's standards and theory dealt with. When we go to confined water, this is brilliant stuff here. So teaching in confined water, understanding your students. This really is good, finding out how your students learn, the psychology behind the students, or behind the way that you can teach your students. Or actually, I prefer to word it a different way. The psychology, not the way that you teach it, but the way that they learn it. So we've got like subjects on there, like on psychology, positive coaching, which is a really fantastic way of teaching people, correcting mistakes. And it gives empowerment to your students. It gives them ownership of their own learning, and it gives them empowerment as to the judge of the success is down to the student. So really it is the next thing here, student-centered training. It truly is explaining how we can make our teaching student-centered rather than instructor-centered. And when you start doing that, it's amazing how quickly students learn and how effectively they pick things up right from the beginning. Once again, this is perfect for IDCs and perfect for IEs as well. And of course, really perfect for the real world as well. Teaching in the classroom, I've already explained. It really does explain to you what we need to achieve in the classroom to get your students, in the right direction, and being able to understand and probably relate different subjects to each other. So lots more than that in the program. It's really full of fun. I'm really looking forward to working with you through this. And please, why don't you join our Facebook page? We've got the Prior Knowledge Family Facebook page. If you join that, then you can let me know how you're getting on with this program. So I'm really looking forward to the future with you. Thanks now.